When you're buying a house, finding a property is only half the battle. The real work starts after you get an accepted contract on a property. Yes, you heard that correctly. Although you've got a contract accepted on a house, it doesn't mean that you own the home. It just means you've got more work to do and you've got a little bit further down the road to go. We still got to get it all the way to the closing table. Hi, it's Kenneth Travis, your hometown mortgage and real estate expert, and on this video I'm going to walk you through the stages of what needs to happen after you have an offer accepted on your property, especially regarding the loan side. So first off, if you've already had an accepted offer, you should have already been pre-approved by a lender. If you haven't, I'm not sure how you got the offer accepted. If you've already been pre-approved, you should already know your numbers. You should know your loan amount, your interest rate, your total closing cost, how much of a down payment you're going to need. All of this stuff is important when you're getting pre-qualified. And if you don't have your numbers, you might want to consider who you're working with as a lender. What many buyers don't realize is the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes, especially when it comes to lending. You cannot officially start the lending process until you have an offer accepted on a property. So as long as you've been pre-approved and nothing's changed with your employment or your credit score, the information should be relatively the same. So I want to give you a good overall idea of what to expect. Most transactions will take up to 30 days to close, but those are subject to what things you have negotiated in the contract. So after your contract's been accepted, the very first thing you're going to do, well, you got to start your paperwork. Once your offer's been accepted, you're going to most likely be giving the sellers a 1% earnest money check, and what this earnest money does is it's a good faith. It binds the contract once it's been accepted. This will give the seller the confidence to take the home off the market. Meanwhile, you'll go and finalize your loan approval, order appraisal, title work, and all the necessary inspections to get you to the closing table. Your earnest money is given to the seller in good faith, but it's also part of your down payment, and you're just giving a little bit of it up front to make the seller feel good that your intentions are great in purchase. In exchange, the seller will give you an executed contract, which is what we need as the lender to get your mortgage process started. Your lender or myself, we cannot start the process without an executed contract. It's very important. So the first document you'll receive from your lender, well, they're disclosures. Now, these disclosures, they'll include all the legal information about purchasing a home. It'll also have your initial closing cost disclosure and estimates of what you can expect to bring to the closing table, what some of the closing costs are, explaining all of the details of the loan. And as long as your information hasn't changed, it should be the same information from when you were originally approved earlier in the process. So check it out. Once the loan disclosures have been signed and completed, well, we're going to start the loan process. It's going to go through processing, but this is the most important part of week 2. So the next thing we're going to do is order the appraisal and the title work. Now, the reason we order an appraisal is, one, we want to make sure you're purchasing a home that is at the value that you're purchasing it at. The lender also wants to protect themselves because they don't want to loan money to a consumer on a house that's worth less than what it actually appraises for. The reason we order title work is to ensure that the seller selling the home, well, that they own it. And we also want to ensure that the buyer is purchasing a home that has no liens, has no variances, has a survey and a plat, and everything is done legally. It's very similar to buying a car. You know, when you pay that thing off or you're purchasing it, you want to ensure that you have a clean title. It's the same thing with purchasing a home. So the next step is the file is going to be submitted to the underwriter. Now, what the underwriter is going to do is they're going to actually verify the income, assets, and all other information to approve the loan. So it's very important that the original loan approval didn't change. So if you've got a new job, you quit your job, maybe you bought a new vehicle, something with your financial situation has changed, you have to let your lender know because it will affect your approval. Once the appraisal and title work are completed, and they usually take the longest, the underwriter will be required to review those upon arrival and before issuing a final clear to close. As we move into week 3, one of the things that we're looking for is a clear to close and getting you ready for the walkthrough. Once your loan's officially approved, we will receive what's known as the clear to close. Now that we've received the clear to close, what we're going to be doing is sending final loan disclosures to the title company. So your mortgage lender will have a closing department that will send that information out. And what this is going to give you, it's going to give you the final closing disclosures. It's also going to show your final closing cost, monthly payment, interest rate, all of the things that the lender originally agreed to earlier in the process. Give or take, week 4 is the closing. Now, the closing will be set, and I want to make sure you understand what that process is going to look like. A closing is when you sign all the paperwork, all the final disclosures. You're going to meet with a closing agent and or attorney, and once all that paperwork is signed and agreeable, well, you get the keys to the house. So that's the overall process after getting your offer accepted. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or my team. I'm Kenneth Travis, your hometown mortgage and real estate expert. You can reach out to us at 903-331-0892 or check us out on our website at www.kennethtravis.com. Also check out our channel and check out our website. Lots of information.